thanks for watching. My name is Shannon Hernandez, radio broadcaster, podcaster, and podcast producer. And today we're talking about scheduling guests for your interviews. Likely you've had co-hosts, maybe you've had expert interviews, people come onto your podcast, and you've had to schedule them out in some certain way. Typically that way is by reaching out to them through email and asking them, hey, would you like to come onto my podcast? We're going to be talking about this topic, and I'd really love your input on that particular topic. And what happens is that your guest probably says yes. And then that comes down to the point where you're having to schedule out the time in which that guest is going to come onto your podcast. And that usually results in a number of email exchanges back and forth. What time do you have available? Do you have 3 p.m. on a Wednesday available? No, I don't. How about, then they email you back and they say, how about 5 o'clock on a Wednesday? And you say, I can't because I'm eating dinner with my family. And then you're going back and forth with these emails, and that can really clog up your inbox, and it can feel very overwhelming. A tool that podcasters have been using for a few years now is something called ScheduleOnce, or there's another one called Calendly. And what these tools are basically scheduling software for your workflow, I guess. And when it comes down to you scheduling your guests into your podcast so that they can come and appear, this is really basically a virtual assistant, an automated virtual assistant for you. So it's like hiring a secretary and having them schedule out all the guests for you and saying, this is the time that you're going to meet with Shannon, and this is the day, and I'm going to call you and follow up with you. ScheduleOnce does all of this for you. It's so incredibly amazing. And most podcasters that are really successful with their podcast are using this tool. I particularly use ScheduleOnce, and ScheduleOnce has saved me so much time from follow-up emails, from emails reminding my guests that they need to come on and become a part of the podcast, and also allows them to come on the podcast at a specific time based off of their time zone. So that's just a couple of the benefits that come with using ScheduleOnce. I have a couple written down here. I mentioned it eliminates the email exchanges back and forth. ScheduleOnce will do all of that for you. One of the cool things about ScheduleOnce is that I can go into ScheduleOnce and pre-select my availability times inside of the application. And so what happens is when I say to someone or my potential guest that's going to be on my podcast, here's my calendar link, go find a day and a time that is going to be available on your schedule. They go on to that my calendar and they can see which days and times are available, as opposed to just that email exchange going back and forth. So that's what makes it so much easier. You can customize a booking form that is created inside of ScheduleOnce, so you can have your branding that's on top of that, and of course you can leave pertinent information like your social profiles and a phone number in order to reach them in case you can't get a hold of them, and even maybe like Skype handle names you can input into that customized booking form too. This ScheduleOnce application is available for you to integrate with iCalendar, Exchange, Outlook or Outlook.com, Google Calendar, just about every calendar that is out there. And so what happens is that when you are scheduling out your normal everyday calendar schedule, and let's say you created a lunch on a Friday at 12 noon, that block of time from 12 until whenever, say 1 o'clock, will not show up on your ScheduleOnce calendar. So this integration allows for your calendar to sync up so that people can't overbook or double book on top of times that you are available or unavailable. So in other words, people can't double book you for a particular day and time. ScheduleOnce integrates with your calendar so well that it knows whenever you are unavailable and when you are available based off of how you're utilizing your calendar. So depending on how organized you are as an individual, especially when it comes down to scheduling your guests, your calendar and your ScheduleOnce will talk very well together and allow people to look at your schedule and see when you are available, as opposed to you having to constantly be reaching out to them. The one downside about ScheduleOnce and with Calendly is that it does take a little bit of time to set up, but that setup is well worth it way down the line when you're not having to pull your hair out trying to figure out a time in which you can get someone on your podcast. So it's well worth sitting down for the hour that you need to sit down and integrate your calendars together and pre-select times in which you are going to be available, because it saves so much time. So how do you schedule out your guests for your podcast? Are you doing it manually, or is there another way that you're using it? Is there another tool that you're using? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments down below. Make sure that you go ahead and leave a comment or a question, and I'll be more than happy to answer that. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. That subscribe button down below if you're on YouTube. That's so valuable to me because I can share out these types of videos with you every week and give you updates on the podcasting industry and what some of the latest trends are and what you can do to create a better podcast. If you're jumping onto this video for the very first time and you're trying to figure out how to start your very first podcast, I have a link down in the description below for a quick start guide on how to start your very first podcast. So go on down there and click on that, and that will help you out. In the meantime, I'd love to hear from you guys. Don't forget to get on my email subscribe list at theshamman.com. Everything is down in the description below, and I'll be talking to you next time. See ya.